What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about two different stocks today. We're going to go over PMTS, CPI, Card Group, and MU, which I actually forget what MU stands for, but PMTS is just one that we're checking in more or less regularly because we've got some of the boys in the YouTube comments that want to keep track of this thing, and I only have one request tonight for stocks, and that would be MU from Black Mamba. Shout out to Black Mamba. So I just figured I'd throw PMTS in there as well because it's doing some exciting things. So let's go over that. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at this chart for what it's worth, I mean, first and foremost, on the weekly, you are in the overbought zone, which is nice. You do some of your best work in the overbought zone. Let me show you what I mean. All right, this is a vertical line, right? Oh, that's actually a crosshair. We can use a crosshair. I don't like the crosshair. I actually want it to be a vertical line. I feel like the horizontal will just be too much noise. We don't need it. So here was your first interaction with the overbought zone in a while, right? In a while, just as, hey, first interaction in a while. Last interaction, but the first one in a while. So let's go over that. First one in a while. This was what happened. Okay, you obviously had a big move up into it, but you didn't stop there, right? Maybe for a week, maybe even for a few weeks you stalled, but inevitably you continued to grow actually for a total amount of time of about 21 more weeks. That's 21 weeks of overall growth. I mean, I suppose you really just moved in stints, consolidated, and moved up again, but still, what I'm trying to get at is by the time you hit the overbought zone for your first week, and actually, would that be? Yes, that would be, because you were out of the overbought zone the week before. So you had 21 weeks later until you found your high after first being in the overbought zone, after not being in the overbought zone for a long time. Well, let's do the same thing over here maybe, right? Hadn't been in the overbought zone in a long time, and you got into it right here, I would say, right? Very beginning of this move, the very beginning. I'm not even going to measure that. That's a lot longer than 21 weeks. We can just see that, right? So all I'm trying to say is we've gotten into this overbought zone. This is at worst halfway through this move right now, right? We're halfway through. We've got more to go. I don't think we're halfway through. I think we've got more to go, that's for sure. But with that in mind, looking at the fib scale here, with that in mind, from a high to a low point, I do believe we're seeing a standard retracement on this move, which standard retracements really go anywhere from, I mean, technically the 236, but I don't even consider that. I would say the 382 to the 618, 69 area. Beyond that is not standard, but common. It's common enough to hit the 786, 886 deeper retracements, and it's common enough to see your extensions inevitably too. But let's see how you interact with this $28 to $30, $31 area. I do think that's your next target. You're so close right now. I think that you will see that happen potentially by the end of this week, if not sometime next week. I do think it's happening very soon. And who knows, man? This really could just be the beginning of something greater if this week or next week, if you don't stop here. And I think you will stop here. I think you're going to find resistance here. You'll probably pull back down to your 50, or you'll pull back down to your 382, either way. But if you don't do that, if you in fact go to your 786 or your 886, somewhere up in this zone, and then you pull back to this area for support instead of first finding it as resistance, that just moves things along faster. Either way, I would assume this thing can see new all-time highs based off of some of the information that's been given to me from Dr. Mike and the boys, but that remains to be seen. I would like to see how we interact with the 61869 area. We haven't gotten there yet. We're very close. My anticipation would be that we find resistance as we have before. I mean, if I put a line right here, right, like literally right at that, come on now, right at this top point, you can see that's in between the 61869, the golden ratio, the sweet pocket right there. Resistance, support right here, resistance before, kind of not really respected there, but somewhat resistance as well back there. So somewhat of a designated area for significance. So it wouldn't be crazy at all, being that this is your 618 retracement zone, to find resistance there. Also being that it's your just kind of somewhat significant area of price in the charts, it wouldn't be crazy. So probably around 30 bucks, give or take a dollar. Either way, you're going to find resistance. Generally speaking, general is the word I'm using, right? It doesn't mean it has to happen every time, but generally speaking, when you enter this white zone, you do pull back to the 0.5 or the 382. So pulling all the way back, you could be at $30, $31, $29, whatever. Pull back all the way to $20. That's fine. That's a healthy move. Not only are you pulling back to previous areas of resistance and then continuing, but you're going from your 618 to your 382. Very good, very healthy maneuver to make in the fibs. Also, you know, pulling back to the 0.5 is sufficient enough. You don't have to go lower. But I would anticipate resistance here and probably a bit of a pullback. You've seen some tremendous growth in a very short amount of time, so that's just normal. After that, after you've had that first interaction with the 618 and you pull back, I wonder if you will break through this on your second interaction. I think you will. If you can break through the 618 on your second interaction, that doesn't mean that you're going up to these areas, but the likelihood of going up to these areas goes up based on my experience with these fib interactions here. So inevitably, you know, this is on a weekly chart. It could be several months. It might even be sometime next year that we're looking at these prices, but $65 to $102 is on the table right now, all the way from down here. This is the beginning of a move that could take you all the way up here inevitably, and it won't be nonstop. And even if it feels like, or even if it looks like it's nonstop, this was not nonstop, right? We had a month of consolidation here. We had several months of consolidation here, right? There's phases where you will be boring on your glorious trajectory to the upside, which I do think you'll have. But anyways, I spent too much time talking about that. A little bit higher. You're at 26.58 right now. You're probably going to go up, I would guess, about $3 from here. $3, $4, whatever, something like that. And then you probably find resistance at this local area around, what is that, around $30, give or take $1, and then probably pull back to about $20. If not a little bit higher, maybe 25. That's PMTS. MU for Black Mamba. We got it right this time, man. MU, Micron Technologies. Talking about this here at 132. The weekly RSI looks so good, man. Wow, this is awesome. Yeah, good choice here, bro. I think you're just getting started, really. I mean, I know that might sound wrong, because just getting started would be like down here, right? You're just getting started, or even back here. You've already gone so far. I mean, those are prices at like $50, $70. Now you're at 132 in a whole different league here. New all-time highs, all that. But man, this weekly RSI, dude, it looks really good. Really, really good. Yes, you have bearish divergence. I know it's bearish divergence. Yes. Lower high right there with the higher high right there. Yes, it is. But you had bearish divergence here, and it went down a little bit and then came back up. You might go down a little bit, form a higher low. You might even form a relative lower low like this. But all in all, this looks parabolic, dude. This looks like, it looks like a straight parabola. I just drew that roughly, right? That's not an actual curve, but to the best of my abilities, I just kind of like fit it, right? It looks like a parabola to me. You probably do see a pullback that'll take you back. You're at 132. I wouldn't be surprised if you went back to that $100, $120 area, probably closer to 120. But then from there up, I don't think this move is done. Again, you know, on this weekly, I think you're just getting started. You're just now at the part of this whole bullish segment of your RSI where you're actually hanging out in this upper limits of the RSI, which is nice to see. At least where the overbought zone is. Maybe not the upper limits. The upper limits would actually be like 90 to 100, but anyways, or 80 to 100, depending on how you want to define it. I suppose that's subjective. The daily RSI looks so good too, man. Yeah, there's bearish divergence. I don't know. With the way this looks, I don't know if I would anticipate it to play out. I wonder how tomorrow will work. Black Mamba, I know we're talking about this one for you, so let's see how the week closes out. It wouldn't surprise me if you saw this. I'm not going to lie, the way the daily RSI looks right now, I wouldn't anticipate that. But the way the weekly looks, it kind of would make sense to pull back a little bit. Again, to this area right where this gap was formed, or somewhere down here, between 100 to 120, I would even feel more comfortable saying like 115 to 120, right in that zone. You're at 132 now, so you might pull back a little bit, but then continue on from there. If you were to continue on, where could we expect you to go? Where might we expect you to go? I mean, looking at this too, just kind of a similar idea as to what we were doing. I'll come back to where we might go, but similar idea to PMTS here. We're on the monthly. First interaction being overbought in a while. You know, this was in April of 2013. You didn't find your high until December of 2014. So over a year's left of growth. This is on a monthly, not a weekly, so it's a little bit different. Here you got overbought, you know, first time in a while as well, about right there. You know, January 2017 didn't top off until May 2018. So over a year worth of growth again. First time getting overbought. You reached for it, but you didn't quite get there. But first time getting overbought in a while again right here. This time you did not grow as long as the last two times, so you still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months until you actually found your top. Yes, this red month was the month you found your high. So 5 months later, you know, we've just gotten into this overbought zone. I would say technically, let's see. I would count that. Yeah, we'll say February. So March, April, May, that's 3 months. I mean, based off of this, we have at least 2 more months that we could expect to go, but I think it would be longer. Essentially, I would assume a year or longer is what you have to do on this growth phase here. So now I want to project where you're going. High to low here. Once here, 1414, pulled back to 886. Nice. This is actually good. I like this. You might be going to $208. This fib might still be at play. Because if you look at this move for what it is, right, out of this whole uptrend, I feel like this little pivot right here is the most significant. More significant than this consolidation, more than that. Like it just looks, it screams, hey, I'm significant, doesn't it? And it certainly seems to be respected as such. So maybe we see $208. It doesn't look like it's completely like to a T respected as it was back here. So maybe you go a little bit above 208, maybe a little bit below. I would expect a little bit above, but especially with how you've been interacting with it. But, you know, time will tell. But let's go over other fibs and just see how it interacts going forward as well. So that relative high to this relative low. Again, because I was calling this the most significant, that doesn't mean I don't expect to see significance here. I bet we do. And I mean, already you can see that we have. 1414, 1272 area, found resistance again, went down to your 61869 area, beautiful. Found a little support on your 1272 before moving up here. You look like, and you found a little support on that 16182. You're probably moving up 184, man, 184 to 244, 208's right in the middle there. That looks pretty good to me. Relative high here to the low, and you know what, I actually feel comfortable taking this high. I normally wouldn't, but that is kind of what started the move. You're at that 1414, 1272 area, so pulling back from here as you've done before wouldn't be crazy, right? Still maintain that parabolic structure. I suppose based off of what we've already seen, you could move all the way back down below $100. You could, right? We've done that. I don't think you'd go to your 61869. I really don't, but you could go all the way back down here and then move up. Though I don't know if that's what you would do. I mean, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. It would make sense based off of what we've seen in the fibs, but it wouldn't make sense as far as like the timeline that we've got going. But I suppose it has gotten shorter each time. Just be a very small amount of time that you've been overbought on the monthly. That's what I'm getting at the on the RSI here. Let's take another look at the weekly. It just looks so good. I can't with this weekly, man. I can't see you going back below 100. I really can't. If you do, it's going to be like a flash crash and then you come back up. So I'm going to say I'll stick with it. 100 to 120 is where you're going to go, and then up from there. And where are you going to go up from there? Yeah, man, 184 to 240, and I really like that 200, 210 level right in the middle there. Yeah, I think you're moving up. Will it happen tomorrow? No, but I mean over the year, sometime into next year even, you know, who knows, but it could be later this year that you hit those areas. It's not going to be a straight line on the monthly. It might seem like that, but there was time, right here. You had a month that you're up here at about $30.77. For the next 3 months, you were still in this range. You weren't too far away, right? It was really on the 4th month. It took you 4 months to really separate from this area, so that's like over a quarter. That would be a quarter. That'd be over a third of a year, actually, or about a third of a year that you consolidated. So it might seem like a straight line on the monthly, but again, living it day to day, it's not going to be as exciting. But yes, I do expect excitement from this thing. I think it is on its way up, just for the time being. You know, it really wouldn't surprise me to go down a little bit. The daily doesn't suggest that, but these higher term time frames kind of do. The 3 hour looks good. It looks good. I mean, everything else about this, man, the 1 hour, the daily, it actually does look like you want to get immediate continuation. So if I'm wrong on that, if I'm wrong on the move down to like this area, oh well, I was wrong. You know, I'll eat that, I guess. And instead of doing that, maybe you just move up more. I don't know, but your next immediate target, I suppose, that you could expect to see as far as the upside goes, if this downside doesn't come, we're looking for 138 to 148, and you're on the road to greater prices than that, 180 to 240. I'm really thinking that 203, 210, $208, whatever. That's the area to go to. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for coming. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.